Hi, everyone. I am so excited because I am speaking with author Sandra Ingerman, and we are talking about her brand new book. I think it's her newest one because she has so many of them, but she's going to hold it up. It's called The Hidden Worlds. It came out in July, and you can show us the cover, Sandra, so everybody can see it.
There it
Oh,
is.
it's so beautiful. I love this cover. And for anyone who doesn't know about this book, it is geared towards middle school kids, right?
hmm
Yeah.
Absolutely. Yeah, yeah.
But I think it's for everybody because I I loved it. I loved reading it. So I was like, this isn't just middle school. It's for adults too. There's so much to learn in this book. And I want you to tell everybody, what this book is about so we can go from there because I don't want to give too much away.
Yeah, absolutely. So, I've done a lot of shamanic healing work with kids and teaching them how to journey since the 1980s. And so I wanted to write a book for children to introduce them to the magic of the unseen realms because the resurgence of shamanism is unbelievable what's happening going on in the Western world. And it's great for adults to be able to get guidance, but our children are going through the same turbulent times that we are. And so to show them that there are power animals and guardian spirits who can give them support and guidance and healing and help them to ride through the changing times was my passion about writing the book. And as you said, it's kind of for adults because I don't have children. And so I packed so many lessons into the book that are for children and adults for how to live a good life. And my agent and people who read the book were saying, Sandy, you don't do this to kids. You don't pack lessons. You got to give them a story. And so that was when I called in Catherine Wood to help me out because she was a brilliant school teacher. And so we developed a story where the children meet power animals in their dreams, and all the children have different issues. Isaiah, he's frail, and he got grizzly bear to help him with his health and his strength. And George, who had special needs, octopus came in to show him how brilliant he really is and to trust himself. And Rose, who was adopted and wasn't integrating into the culture here. Giraffe taught her how to do that. And Magda, who was a soccer star, Panther came in and gave her guidance. And then in ordinary reality, in waking time, the children accidentally meet each other during a school break at a fish pond that's been polluted with toxic waste. And the animals take them on a journey to help them discover the source of the toxic waste and how to report it to the community. So that's the book in a nutshell with all the life lessons, the power of words, the power of your imagination, finding your authentic identity. All those life lessons are packed into the book, too.
Okay, so I have to tell you a story about me because I was like, nobody else, maybe she would understand this because I don't think there are too many people in this world that would understand this story. So when I was growing up, okay, I was very, uh, how do I want to say it? I was abused by my father. Okay, severe in terms of today, it would be severely, but we didn't know back then, right?
Right.
But I had this sense, and I was raised Christian. My mom took me to church, and I got really involved in that world, I should say. But I always had this like sense of peace if I'd be outside, right? I could kind of work through it. It was really weird. It calmed me. And then I became like, it would seem like I'd be walking out in nature and I would get birds. Right. And I felt connected to them in this weird way. But as I'm reading this book, I was like, it kind of gave me that memory of like because people would say to me later when I go to counselors later on in my life, like, how did you do it? How did you, because they would kind of, want to know for them too. Like, how did you get through this? And I'm like, I don't know. I had this sense of peace always around me. I don't know what I'd call it. I don't know whether I would name it God or what I would name it, but I do think that bird. And then I was like, was there a specific bird? There wasn't. It was just birds.
Yeah, I'm really sorry to hear about your abuse, but what you're sharing is such a common story of because children are journeying all the time in shamanic cultures. In shamanic cultures, children weren't taught how to journey and find their guardian spirit, for themselves until puberty, because it was understood they were already in those worlds. But in our culture, with iPhones and iPads, children are not in the unseen worlds where they need to be. That's where they get the peace, like you experienced, and the love of the fairies and the spirits and their imaginary friends coming to help them. And so children are losing this at a very early age. But there's a whole generation of us that remember, just like you, having some being that brought us peace and love and helped us through whatever challenges we were going through.
I so think that. I mean, I did have, I had lot. I don't know. I used to feel very weird, and I wouldn't say imaginary friends, but I felt presences. I felt, peace with myself alone. I had a brother, but when I was alone, I could be at peace. And if I was outside, it was even more peace. Sometimes would go to a park to be alone, to like get peace. And I didn't know why. I mean, just kind of drawn to it, and that's when I was reading these kids' story and I was like, oh, that's so interesting. And I was like, does it have to be a specific bird? Like, or could it just be that I connected in that way?
Yeah, just be that you connected. I mean, especially for kids and adults who aren't on a strong shamanic path, just knowing that we have these guardian spirits, and it could be some kind of bird or some kind of animal, but you feel its presence and you feel its love and you feel it kind of holding you during some really painful times. I had a client. It's really interesting because so many of my clients from back in the 80s, they were little kids. They were 7, 8, 9 years old, and I taught them how to journey. And now they're adults and they have their own children, and they write me letters on how powerful it was to have that connection growing up. And one story that really stands out for me is a friend's son who was being abused by his teacher at school, but it was the kind of abuse you couldn't report. It was that passive aggressive emotional abuse. So he got his power animal, and his power animal just taught him how to stay steady and centered and held him when his teacher was being mean to him. And it helped him. He ended up being a brilliant student. And I actually thought he was going to run for president one day, but that didn't happen. But he did get into politics for a while. And he really believes that having that connection with that helping spirit during his challenging times helped him to grow up in a good way and not harmed by his experience.
I love that. And I love in this story, you've written so many books. Like I said, 13 books, I guess, right?
12, yeah.
Okay. And what I loved about it was this dream that they were all having. And I was like, we all, dreams are something we don't understand, because sometimes they can be scary. Sometimes they can be, both my parents are gone. And sometimes I'll have dreams about them that you wake up and you're like, I know I was with them. Like, I know it, like, and it seemed, but is that true? Like, are our dreams that connected? Like, are we that, like, do you believe that is, that feeling that we get, like, nobody could talk you out of it. It's like, I was with my mom last night. I dreamt about her. I was with her. She was there. I felt her. I smelled her. Like, what is that?
Yeah, in shamanic cultures, that shamanism dates back 100,000 years. And in shamanic cultures, it was understand that in our dreams we meet spirits, we meet our deceased loved ones, we meet our ancestors, and that they're all there to support us. And so, even this is a tough topic, but even with your father, who he died, and so he no longer has the ego or personality that when he was alive. And so if people are open to it with somebody who abused them so terribly, a lot of healing can happen in dreams when our ancestors come to us, because where they weren't our allies when we were children, they're our allies now that they're on the other side and they transitioned.
Yeah.
So yeah, dreams is how people connect with spirits and with ancestors who are trying to help.
Yeah, I truly believe that. I don't know that I could have had the healing that I've had without having dreams of him being loving and being, since we never had that moment in our human form, right? We never had that like forgiveness moment because he died of cancer very quickly, but I
Mm,
definitely believe that my dreams of him, like, and feeling that love in dreams has definitely helped,
mm,
and it's come organically, like not trying to, right?
right, that's beautiful.
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah.
So this is something that you wish, like teaching children about this. Like I feel like I've always tried to be very spiritual with my children, but this book, I was like, now I have grandchildren. I'm like, you know what? As soon as they're already in kindergarten and younger, but I mean, just to be able to talk to them like like this, and to put this book in their hands, because I never really heard of power animals before, like in
Mm.
everything that I've ever, but that's very shamanic, right? I mean, that
Yeah,
is,
very shamanic. Yeah, it's believed that in shamanic cultures, it's believed, and shamanism does not interfere with religion. Shamanism is not a religion. So I'm a very religious person. Most of my students are. So there's no conflict there.
right.
And in shamanic cultures, it's believed that when we're born, the spirit of at least one animal volunteers itself to act as our guardian angel in life. And so they volunteer at birth. And so, those again who grow up in shamanic cultures, they know who their guardian spirits are and their allies, and their community knows. And so, they can be supported in keeping those connections. Until at puberty, oftentimes those connections break. And as I shared, then children have to be reintroduced to the unseen realms when that door closes. But these guardian spirits, which we call power animals, but they can also show up as ancestors or teachers in human form. In the hidden worlds, I just kept to power animals. And people in shamanic cultures, they didn't live in technological societies. And so they were very dependent on a very strong relationship with the animals that they shared nature with, because then they could be in harmony and be in good relationship with them. So it was the animals that were usually in the area, that were known in the area, that would come, and the spirit of the animal would volunteer and can't pull you out of danger, but can sometimes stop it or can love you while a trauma is going on. They won't take away your growth experiences,
Hmm.
but they'll protect you in every way that they can.
Right. I think that was the thing. It's like when I got to be older, like I didn't question my situation until you get older. Like as a child, you don't question the situation, but then it was like, well, where was all this protection? Like where was God, or where was Jesus, or where what, you start questioning that. But I love how you say that, because it's like sometimes you need to go, they're not going to prevent the growth, but they'll be there. I love
Right.
that.
Yeah.
Just like made
Yeah.
my day. I love that. What about pets?
Well, from a shamanic point of view, domesticated animals aren't usually power animals for people because it's oftentimes seen they lost their power through domestication. But in shamanism is a practice of direct revelation. So there are no rules. And
Right.
so whatever you experience, you experience. And in the Western world, it's amazing how many of my students are their dogs and cats or their power animals. And then, like I was talking about ancestors transitioning, when pets transition, they'll oftentimes be the power animal for their master that they left.
Yeah, because I know, like I had a dog growing up, and even if it wasn't like my connection, the love you get, like, because you'll take love from, wherever you can get it. And, they always say, like, with your own pet, like, he knew, like, if you're upset, they'll sit on your lap. They always, like, they have that
Yeah.
sense, cats and dogs, like, they'll have that sense about you. And you're like, how did they know I was upset? How did they feel that? But so I think that's what's helpful too, right?
Yeah, and we're so in as humans, we've put ourselves in a box. We live in this two-dimensional world, and life becomes so rich when we realize that all the animals, all the beings that we live in nature with, they also have emotions, and they speak, and they're reaching out to us to communicate with us. And so when we open ourselves up to, it's more than just human beings that have consciousness, we learn the intelligence of animals, I use this example all the time, but in the tsunami in Thailand, why was it only humans who didn't know that a tidal wave was coming? Every animal already knew. And so all beings in nature have these psychic senses, and humans do too, but we cut off our psychic senses because of society, the culture we live in, devices. And so now it's time for us to learn how to open up to nature, learn about their clairvoyant, clairaudient, where you get messages and those messages are right and you better listen to them or you are going to be in danger, or that feeling that you get in your bones. That's something that all of nature has, but most humans have lost that gift, that skill, only because we've deadened it. We don't pay attention to it. We don't feed those inner senses, which open us up to a world of so much beauty when we do open to them.
Oh, I love that. You've made my day, Sandra. Just so you know. I can just feel you through here. I mean, I can feel it. And I want everybody to read this book because it is so beautiful. And I'm going to go back and read your other stuff, because when I was doing my research, I'm like, oh my gosh, I want to read these books. Like, they're so amazing. And I think you're brilliant. So
Oh,
show everybody the book again, because I'm going to put all of your links, and I'll put your website and especially the link to this book. I love the cover so much. That is just beautiful. Ugh. Yeah. I can't wait. Are you working on anything right now? Do you have any books coming out?
Well, after this book came out, I wrote the Book of Ceremony. So that was my 12th book that came out, and that's on how to perform ceremonies to bring harmony into your life and to create the life that you wish to live. And so I'm still doing interviews on the Book of Ceremony and the Hidden Worlds. And so I do have more writing projects, and Catherine and I want to do a second part to this book of we went to the lower world and worked with power animals, and now we want to take kids to the upper world to work with teachers to learn how to perform ceremony. So I want to take my book, The Book of Ceremony, and make it into a children's book too.
Oh my gosh. If I read that book, will you talk to me again?
Oh, absolutely. I'd love to. It's a great book, and we can get Anna, we can get that to you.
Oh, I will definitely do that. You made my day. So thank you so much, Sandra. I'm so happy that I met you. I really am. This is such a blessing. So have a great day. Like I said, everybody, the link will be listed below for the book, and we'll talk again soon.
Thank you, Michelle. Have a beautiful day. Blessings.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Bye.